Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here in Slovakia, just outside the country's capital city, Bratislava. We are here at the Slovakia Ring for the round 4 of the 2023 season of the Eastern European TCR cars lined up on the starting grid. This is the round 4 of the championship. That means races number 7 and 8, because of course, in every race weekend, we do 2 races per weekend. And so far, it's been up and down, thrilling season with many different drivers taking victories. The last time out, we raced 3 weeks back in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, and here's what happened. So there we are in Slovakia, 3 weeks after the last round of the championship cars, ready on the starting grid. And as you can see, it's actually not dry, but it's also not exactly wet. So those are the mixed slippery condition that pretty much nobody likes. It's absolutely unclear what the grip level is at every corner. We had a torrid rain just about 2 hours back before we were supposed to start the first European truck race of the weekend, and that had to be delayed. That meant that also the race number 1 of the Eastern European TCR was postponed, and we are about to go live with it right now. Cars ready on the grid, and it is the home hero, Mattia Homola, lining up on the front row. But he will have a worthy adversary right alongside him. That is the Austrian junior René Kircher in the Mertl Motorsport Honda Civic. And those are actually the drivers that are in the top 2 positions of the championship. I beg your pardon, of course, René Kircher, the German driver. And we have got René Kircher wanting to go 1 up and 1 better in the championship standings, because he is trailing Mattia Homola by mere 4 points entering the weekend. Of course, added to that, we've also got the points handed for the qualifying results. And it was actually the Mertl Motorsport Civics that did the best the last time out in Austria, and that's why they're carrying the most amount of extra kilos, right where the passenger seat normally is supposed to be, but not with the TCR cars. So René Kircher is going to have it quite difficult, but even despite the kilos that he is having right alongside him, he did a blistering lap in the qualifying earlier on today. He set the lap time of 2 minutes 11.4 seconds, and he managed to beat the home hero Mattia Homola by 1/4 of a second. Mattia Homola had an incident of his own in quali as he ran across some debris. He said an entire front bumper of another car. So that must have been a pretty large hit. Even despite that, he still managed to put his Hyundai Elantra on the front row of the grid. And it is going to be quite a fight here in front of the home crowd for him. You see the main grandstand absolutely filled up with spectators. Well, mind you, it was really raining dogs and cats just an hour ago, so naturally everybody wants to stand somewhere where a roof is over your head, because that was quite a downpour, what we experienced here in Slovakia. And we are about to set for the formation lap. So while we do that, let's actually talk to the man himself who knows his home track the best, because he was the one to actually present us with the home track walk.
Hey guys, I'm Matthew Homola, driver of Hyundai Janik Motorsport team, currently driving with Hyundai Elantra and TCR, and we are here at Slovakia, my home track, and let me show you some interesting spots at this really fast flowing circuit that I really love. So this is the first interesting spot at Slovakia Ring. Is a famous T2. It's super fast right-hander when we are attacking about 200 kph on the exit, and you can see on the exit there is a gravel trap. You need to be really precise and a really balanced car, otherwise walls are really close and you can touch them. So really nice spot, but quite a dangerous one. Slovakia Ring is famous for 4 artificial hills. This is the second one after T2. This hill was cut and was rebuilt because before there were like big crashes because the cars were flying and it was a little bit dangerous, but one of the nicest places here in Slovakia Ring. And after really some fast corners, we are approaching the technical part of Slovakia Ring, and we are coming to this corner after really fast right-hander that is going about 170 kph on the 5th gear, and is really tricky to find the braking spot and idle line to this corner. Many drivers are going off the track because they had some oversteer moment, and as we are coming after this fast right-hander braking to this slow corner, it is also a good overtaking point. So this is really nice specific of Slovakia Ring. These were really nice spots at Slovakia Ring and my favorite ones. So hopefully you like that, and hopefully you like Slovakia Ring. So see you in races.
And we have already got the cars on the formation lap getting ready to race for the first time this weekend, 5,922 meters. So it is the longer of the tracks on the calendar. And as mentioned, we have got René Köche on pole position. Alongside him, Matthew Homola, starting from row number 1 as well. Behind them, Homola's teammate Carlo Cepiel. He's already got a victory to his name from the opening weekend of the season. It was a brilliant start for Janik Motorsport's team in Germany at Oschersleben, but since then it's actually been going rather up and down, mostly at Red Bull Ring, where the Hyundais were carrying extra kilos for the previous successes in Hungary, and that really cost them. That meant that the Mertel Motorsport Hondas managed to catch up. And we've also had Vukovic Motorsport cars taking victories earlier on this season. It was Milan Vukovic scoring a double of wins in the previous rounds. But unfortunately, Vukovic Motorsport not taking part this weekend. Alongside Carlo Cepiel on row number 2, Giacomo Germandi in one of his best qualifyings, absolutely. And row number 3, David Kajaya took his first victory the last time out in Austria. Alongside him, Petr Fulin Jr. after a successful qualifying of his own. Woo, and we have got Giacomo Germandi in trouble on the formation lap. Very unusual moment. He will be able to rejoin to his grid spot, but that was an unusual moment for the Italian driver, but he's back in his P4. Row number 4, Adam Colt, unlucky in qualifying as he got a hit from a stone that damaged the cooler in his car, and he had to abandon and abort the qualifying. Alongside him, Philipp Dittrich. He actually had a taste of starting from pole on his home soil the last time out, but didn't actually do terribly well after that. Due to current circumstances, Sebastian Steibl and Ivars Valers sharing row number 5. Behind them, Tobias Pošik, Karol Wittke, Žarko Knego, Radim Adámek, Adam Řepecký, Vít Smejkal, Sebastian Kolakovský, Petr Čížek, and Antonio Citera. to top of the 19-strong starting field. Everyone ready on the starting grid. We're just waiting for the green flag to be waved to actually signal that everything is about right. And it doesn't exactly seem to be like that. 25 minutes ready on the clock. Now it seems that everyone's ready in their grid spots. The red lights are on. And now they're off, and we're racing in Slovakia for the first time this weekend with René Kircher starting from pole position. It is quite a long run down to the first corner, and everybody can have a go. It is a pretty wide start and finish straight, and that it narrows down to the fearsome corner number 1. But René Kircher has it all covered, and he's remaining in first place. Behind him, Mathieu Homola slotting into third. It's immediately David Kajaya up to third in the other Honda Civic. Ooh, and there's a bit of a moment for one of the Additis Racing's Audis, finding himself on the wet grass. He'll be lucky not to be spinning across the track, which he isn't, so everything absolutely fine. And we are safely through the opening couple of corners that are usually the place for dramas on the opening lap of the race. Kircher holding on to the first place, but only just. Mathieu Homola right on his tail, and he is going to make his life complicated, because on his home ground, carrying just 10 extra kilos, he should have the advantage over the Civic. There was another car running through the grass on the opening lap in turn number 3. Didn't really catch who that would have been, but it is still René Kircher leading into the slowest part of the track, tight and twisty infield section. Kircher leading from Homola, and David Kajaya up to third on the opening lap of the race. There is Ivars Valers after the trouble on the opening lap, and his car doesn't look entirely healthy. And it is it Mathieu Homola already fighting for the top spot? Yes, it is. Mathieu Homola up into first place, and he's now the new race leader. He's just robbed René Kircher in that inside part of the track that still remains quite a lot wet. And heavy braking into the left-hander. Maybe René Kircher made a mistake there. You did see those rather large puddles in the middle sector, still troubling the drivers, and it must have been a pretty complicated decision what tires to actually choose on this drying track, which still remains quite slippery and rather really wet at places. So it is Homola leading from Kircher, Kajaya third, Adam Colt up a couple of spots, and he is now fourth. We have got one of the Additis Racing Audis. That must be Sebastian Steibel. After an unlucky first lap, he is now coming back to the pits and dropping down the order. So Sebastian Steibel, maybe he collected a puncture. Didn't really see the right reason for him to actually get back to his team's mechanics. Code fourth, Germandi down to fifth, having had a unusual scare on the formation lap, and he is simply lucky to be even in this race, albeit down in fifth now from Boschik. Boschik had a wonderful getaway of his own in the previous generation RS3 Audi. There he is, battling the Yannick Motorsports Hyundais. That must be Carlo Cepiel, who dropped a couple of places at the start, having actually set off from third on the grid. And there seems to be something hanging off the car of Giacomo Germandi. A piece of bodywork sort of flailing around. But that should be no issue to him. But is it? There is Giacomo Germandi in trouble. He had to correct a beginning spin there in the left-hander. And is that piece of bodywork actually rubbing against the tire? Because if it is, then he is in for a puncture. And that's not going to be a very safe situation for him. Look at this section. It actually remains incredibly wet. And everybody's just searching for grip, trying to hang on to the racetrack to even stay on the black stuff. There is Boschik, right on the tail of one of the Elantras. And there is Germandi. His car not really in the best of shapes. And that's already Carlo Cepiel up ahead Boschik. as he's dealt with the reigning Renault Clio Cup champion. But both of them now trying to get some gains over Germandi. There is the race leader, Mathieu Homola. Since the moment he took the first position, he's been running away with it. Mind you, he was a little unlucky in the qualifying earlier on today, but even though he's carrying extra kilos, it is not as many as the Civics, and it is 10 extra kgs sitting alongside, which he seems to be really making up for with his skillful hands. There is Homola leading from Kircher. These are still the opening stages of the race. As we've done the first 5 minutes of the 25-minute long race. There's another fight. Petr Furin Jr. not really making the best of starts, as he was 6th on the grid, but dropped down the order. He's now 10th. Or actually up to 9th he must be, because he's fighting it out with Adam Řepecký. Řepecký had a rather big one earlier on in the season in Hungary. Where he T-boned the barrier at speed in the opening hairpin. That was a nasty shunt back there. But luckily he's fine, the car is fine now. And the Polish driver back in the field. There he is in the cyan-colored or sort of greenish-colored lime and mint. I'm not good with colors. So simply the Audi. I'm a guy, what do you want? It's green. But there's the Cupra Leon ahead. Petr Furin regaining at least some ground to go P9 again. So there is Adam Řepecký. Yeah, down in 10th now. From Petr Čížek. Oh, and what a start that must have been. Because we did see that Express Auto Racing's Cupra Leon completely stripped down at its front end in the paddock earlier on today. The car nearly shaken down to pieces after the previous round in Austria, and the Czech drivers' weekend not really unraveling in the best fashion so far. But it seems that Petr Čížek is really making up for it right now, and he was, if I remember correctly, second to last on the grid, and now we actually have him just having a sniff of the top 10 right now, P11 for him. So that must have been one heck of an opening lap for the Czech driver. When there's a dive from Carlo Cepiel down the inside on Germandi, but he outbraked himself and had to run wide in the left-hander. That is now allowing the Italian driver back into his 5th place. But they are still fighting it out. This is the wettest part of the track still. But the dry-ish line sort of finally appearing there. And Germandi doing absolutely all he can to still remain in 5th at least. But just look how fast the Elantra is down the straights. The Polish driver was carrying extra kilos the last time out in Austria, but he dropped all of it for the Slovakian round now, so absolutely trouble-free now in his cockpit, and I was going to say enjoying the view of the Audi, but he would much rather be enjoying the view of nobody. But of course, his race has not been going that well. There's Rzepecki and Čížek in the black and red Cupra Leon. And then the interesting looking new Hyundai Elantra in the field. It's the Croatian driver Žarko Knego in 13th. And there he is now fighting with Karol Wittke. The full in races driver Žarko Knego. He did have a nasty shunt here 2 years back in the previous generation Cupra, as he had a big one exiting the second corner that pretty much ended his season of 2021. For the last year, or for the previous year, he acquired a new car and had the current generation Cupra, but he and his team, they decided that they might actually be better off with the fast Elantra, and that's why they decided mid-season to switch brands, switch cars, and they got hold of the new machine a week after the Austrian round. It came in nice black color, but the team decided to style it a little bit, and it was actually Tomislav Srbijanovic, a member of the team, who simply decided to go artistic and paint the car with white highlights, and created that really interesting looking livery. So it's now the easy one to spot on the track. Žarko Knego running 14th right now, as he lost the fight to Karol Wittke, who has been moving up the order himself, as we had the German driver in, well, 12th on the grid. That means that he lost a couple of places at the start, but he's now been trying to actually make up for that, and there he goes against Radim Adamek on the start and finish straight. Side by side they go now across the line as we're approaching the halfway mark of the race. Down the inside goes Karol Wittke, and this should be an easy one for him because the first corner is actually a right-hander, but everything is already done and dealt with even before the braking zone comes. And now they go across the crest and away from the view, and there is the fearsome second corner, the flat-out right-hander. Under normal circumstances, an easy flat-out right-hander. In the wet, it takes some bravery, and when you're at the start of the race running 3, sometimes even 4 wide, then you must even be a little crazy to still keep your foot planted to the ground. There is Philipp Dietrich in his Cupra Leon, the orange and white liveried car number 71. We did have Philipp Dietrich in 8th on the grid. And that's exactly where he's running right now as well. For the second race tomorrow, of course, we will have a reverse grid order based on the results from today's race. However, something between 6 and 10 places will get reversed. That, of course, will depend on the draw right after the race. Whoever wins this race gets to pick up a piece of paper or a ball or whatever it is out of a hat, and the number they pull will decide the number of positions that will get reversed for race number 2. Maťo Homola dominated the... Ooh, and that's Adam Rzepecki running out of talent in the last right-hander, outbraking himself. He was really late on the brakes, and now he has to run all the way across the gravel trap, all the way to the outside to find himself actually on the grass. That provides a slightly better grip, but now being completely wet, not so much better. But this is losing the Polish driver an incredible amount of time. There he goes back on the track. We'll have to run across even the pit lane entry. Still on the grass, let's not lose it. He still has to be absolutely careful with the throttle. And this drops the Polish driver all the way to the back, away from everybody else. What a shame he had been running really well prior to that. Now he's trying to clean the tires a bit and get back some warmth into them. But this is pretty much it for his realistic chances in this race. It would take at least a safety car and something extra crazy for him to be able to get back in the top 10. So it was Mathieu Homola absolutely dominating the home round in the 2022 season. And he's now looking to repeat the success in front of his home crowd. And what a crowd it is, actually. We see the grandstands full for the Truck Racing Championship, so it's been a nice race week so far. So let's say race weekend. And there is Jarko Knego making a short work of Radim Adamek himself, and up into 12th he goes. This is Tonio Citera in his Honda Civic, running down in 16th. And there is the black and white Elantra, the new car for Jarko Knego. And small puffs of smoke coming out or coming off the inside rear tire as they just corner and brake so hard. It's just so typical of the front wheel drive cars, having usually most of their weight up front. So the weight distribution not really that favorable. And as you brake so hard, the cars simply kick the inside rear wheel up in the air, which means that if you're then braking fully, you'll just lock the inside rear, and as it comes back bouncing and rubbing against the tarmac, you actually flat spot the rears. So it's a little bit different than you'll see, I don't know, in Formula 1. There it is again. Locking the inside rear on the Elantra, this time for the Yannick Motorsport cars, and this is the fight for fourth. Carlo Cepiel now overtaking Adam Colt in the process. Colt was trying to defend, but there was nothing he could do exiting the left-hander. His younger teammate simply faster here in Slovakia. So we have got just over 7 minutes left on the clock, with Mathieu Homola leading on his home ground by 2.2 seconds from René Kircher. David Kajaya in third. That means that it is both Mertl Motorsport cars on podium scoring positions, but we have got Cepiel now up into fourth. So this graphic title no longer true. He's up to fourth, and let's now see what he can do about that, at least the last podium place, because he has got Kajaya under 3 seconds ahead. That means that he can even see him, and that's always a psychological help for you. If you can see your opponent, it sort of acts as a magnet and it just reels you in, and with every corner you're simply managing to check how the gap is doing. If it's dropping down, there is Čížek ahead of Wittke. They were teammates up until the previous season, before Petr Čížek switched teams and basically formed a new squad called Express Auto Racing. Together with Vít Smejkal. Petr Čížek, one of the drivers, still waiting for his first victory in the Eastern European TCR. He has been close a couple of times, but something is still missing. And he has not really been that lucky in the opening part of this year's campaign, but now he is up ahead of Karol Wittke. They were racing in the same team previously, and they reached the shiniest moments towards the end of the 2011 campaign, it was, when they even scored a double victory in the season endings event at Brno. But unfortunately that was as good as it got, and since then both of their adventures got downhill a little bit, with Karol Wittke having to skip the large part of last season, and Petr Cížek enjoying rather a turbulent start to this season. So Homola leading 2.5-ish seconds from Kircher. Kajaya 7.6. What is Čepil doing? 10.2. Let's see that now. On the live timing screen, what do the lap times actually say? So Kajaya did 2:15.8 on the previous round, or the previous lap. Čepil 2.15 or 2:15.6. And it's actually high 6.76, so just over 1/10 of a second quicker per lap. That is not going to be enough for the Polish driver to get anywhere near Kajaya to be even able to start fighting for that remaining podium position. So at the moment, the third place seems secure, but until we reach the checkered flag, it's really not done, and it's really not over. Because, as all the clever cliches say in motorsport, anything can happen, and to finish first, you need to finish. There's René Kircher. P2 currently still having Homola in his sights, but not a lot he can do about his position. There is Cížek in between the full-in racing cars. He's dealt with Wittke, but he still has Petr Fulin Jr. up ahead, and actually by quite a lot. There's about 7 seconds between them. That seems to be too much already for the remainder of the race. Sebastian Kolakowski ahead of Vítek Smejkal in their fight for 14th. Still wet places there in the second sector. Mostly on the curbs. Otherwise, the track is already predominantly dry. Just under 2 minutes left in the race. There is Tobias Poschik defending from Dietrich and Fulin. So still a couple of fights to be sorted out in the remaining minutes of the race. That was Kniego ahead of Adamek, 12th and 13th. There is Kolakowski under pressure from Smejkal. And that actually forced the Polish driver into a lockup, and there they go. Smejkal looking rather racy indeed. And there is Petr Fulin Jr. glued to that rear spoiler of Philipp Dietrich. And there is David Kajaya, car number 9. The experienced Georgian driver. He has already scored a victory in this season, as I already mentioned, and David Kajaya currently third in the standings with 80 points to his name. It was Mathieu Homola taking the opening victory of the season in Germany at Oschersleben. And then his teammate Carlo Cepiel taking his maiden win just on the next day. He actually said before the start of the season that he was hoping he could take at least one victory and show everybody what he could do. So he actually ticked that box right on the opening weekend of the season. Since then it's not been that successful, but also not entirely unsuccessful. But he's now out of the Yannick Motorsport trio, the one with the lowest number of points, which is why he's really trying hard to get back through the standings. And he dealt with his teammate Adam Colt in today's race to go fourth. He is getting closer to Kajaya, but we are already on the final lap and they still have about 1.5 seconds between them. Then there was the Hungaroring round, which brought victories for Milan Vukovic, who actually swapped from the Renault Twingo Cup directly to the TCR and started enjoying the winning ways. And then it was René Kirche taking the other victory on that weekend, where actually it was Adam Colt first on the line, but then penalized right after the race, and they handed the victory to the German driver. And then the Austrian round presented wins to Milan Vukovic once again, and then David Kajaya. But it's looking increasingly likely that we are not going to welcome another different driver to the list, because the top 4 drivers in today's race have already tasted victories. So far only one for Mathieu Homola, still the championship leader, but he is showing yet again, a year from his dominance, that he knows his home track like anyone else. And this is a clear message to his opposition that nobody beats Mathieu Homola on his home track in front of the home crowd, and they will be cheering. They will be clapping and shouting as Mathieu Homola runs across the line to take the second victory of the season, to cement his position in the championship lead. Mathieu Homola takes a victory for Yannick Motorsport. It is the 3rd win for the Czech squad and 2nd of the season for the largely experienced Slovakian driver. Mathieu Homola scoring a momentous home victory here in Orechová Potoň at Slovakia Ring from the couple of Mertl Motorsport Honda Civics. René Kirche coming home 2nd, having lost that lead on the opening lap, but still good points for him and also for his teammate and also for their team. So it is David Kajaya completing the success for the team. Carlo Cepiel, he was 3rd on the grid, lost a couple of places at the start. He made up for it, but only just. And that desired podium is slipping through his fingers today. He is coming home 4th from Adam Colt. He is 5th, up by 1. Sorry, actually, we had Adam Colt all the way down in 7th, so up by 2 from the grid. Giacomo Germandi fell by 2, and he scores 6th in this race from Tobias Pošík, Petr Fulín Jr., Filip Dietrich and Petr Čížek. Those are the top 10 positions, and behind the top 10 it is Karol Wittke, Žarko Knego, Radim Adámek, Sebastian Kolakovský, Vít Smejkal, Antonio Citera, Ivars Valers, Adam Řepecký and Sebastian Steibl, who got actually really unlucky at the start of the race, had to go back to the pits. And at least based on the live timing, it seems that he never came back. Mathieu Homola opening his home weekend with a victory. And now The rest for tomorrow's race is basically relying or lying in his, I was gonna say hands, but actually in only one of his hands, because he is going to be the one to pick a number out of a hat, and that will decide how deep he's going to fall in the standings for tomorrow's grid. He'll be hoping for 6, but that number has not really been drawn so often in this championship. We've had quite a lot of 7s, if I remember, quite a lot of 9s, and of course a couple of 10s. So let's see what that is for race number 2 here in Slovakia. We're really happy that you're together with us once again. Of course, after tomorrow's race, we're going to have 2 more rounds in the Czech Republic. It's going to be Most in the beginning of August and then Brno in the beginning of September. And these are the final, but still not official results. Of course, the cars have to go through the scrutineering, etc., etc. So still an asterisk over these standings, but it is a graphic confirmation of what we've just seen in the past half hour. Mathieu Homola taking a victory, 2nd of his season, and just confirming his place in the lead of the standings. René Köcher in 2nd from David Kajaya, and then Karlo Čepiel, Adam Kout, German de Pošik, Fulin Dietrich, and Petr Čížek completing the top 10 here in Slovakia. So the car's now getting back to the pit lane. Hopefully the sun will be out for the rest of the day, because there is still quite a lot to do this weekend, and we do not really need another delay. We will be back for the 2nd TCR race, of course, tomorrow. And as far as the plan goes, if the weather doesn't decide to play havoc with it once again, then we should be on air back at about 1:50 tomorrow. So make sure that you'll be back for that, and also enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy even the truck racing. My name is Pavel Fabry. I'm your commentator for the weekend as far as the Eastern European TCR is concerned. And before we sign off, let's just see once again what we've just had, what we've just enjoyed here in Slovakia this afternoon. Race number 1 of the Eastern European TCR in Slovakia of the round 4 of the 2023 season will be back tomorrow afternoon. And before that, enjoy yourselves. And it is a very warm goodbye.